Village Council meeting. Today is Monday, April the 10th, 7 p.m. Please join us at our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Fiscal officer will take the roll.
Kavanaugh. Here. Kawicki.
Here.
Porter.
Here.
Bell.
Here.
Berger.
Here.
Canton.
Here. We have minutes of the special council meeting on the March 27th. Any changes or corrections to the special council meeting?
Did you get mine, Danielle?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Here. Moved by Kavanaugh.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Canton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes have passed. We have minutes of the regular council meeting from March 27th. Any changes or corrections to the regular council meeting?
Move to approve.
Moved by Porter, seconded by Kavanaugh. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We have visitors. We do not have anybody here about the forfeiture hearing for 322 Whitetail Drive. Do we need somebody here?
Well, they do have a letter that was in the council packet, so I
Yes.
don't know if you read that. I guess they don't technically have to be here, but I think, if you think the letter explains it, then you guys.
Okay. So when we get to the building, Chris will make a decision on this $1,000 from Anderson. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay, next, we have Nathan Hill, Eagle Scout project proposal. Nathan, welcome. Nathan turns 18 on May the 12th.
Yep.
We are all feeling the pressure, including parents, but he was in the school musical. He's been on the debate team. We talked in the fall, and all of a sudden here we are, and he's been rip-roaring. We've met the last couple Saturday mornings, and do you want to do the slide still?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, I'll just let you take the computer and go from here.
All right, great. So as he said, my name is Nathan Hill. So I go to Sugar Falls High School and I'm a senior and I'm turning 18 on May 12th. And I've been a Boy Scout for the past 8 years and I'm still working towards that Eagle. And so for my project, I want to do it here in South Russell. And I would like to build, create, and then install posts within South Russell Park, just down that way. And so this is really where it shows what the park looks like. So why install trail markers in South Russell Park? So they will be able to encourage more citizens to use the trails. They'll allow users to be able to track their distance. So on each trail, there will be a sign at either end of the park that shows the path of the trail, the name of the trail, and then how many miles it is or kilometers. And so then that will let people, see how much exercise they've been getting, which can be useful because not everybody wants to download an app on their phone. I will make the park more accessible. People will be able to know exactly where they are. If they need to contact emergency providers, exactly where they are in the park, that'll help them. They can be like, oh, I'm on the so-and-so trail. And it will just let people, use the parks in a different way and let more people engage with, free amenity that I don't think enough people are taking advantage of. So this is a map of the park. And so it's sort of hard to see on there, but there are certain locations that are highlighted to show where the different trail markers will go. And so there are 16 in total. Hold this up here if you want to see it more clearly. So there will be 16 6.5 feet, 4x4 inch, or 6x6 inch treated wooden poles. And so I've been contacting places like Lowe's and Home Depot and Carver Lumber in Solon to get estimates to what the prices will be and that sort of thing. And it seems very doable. And then 16 custom trail name signs from the Northeast Blueprint. Oh wait, I just realized that I was in the slideshow presentation. Just that, there we go.
Yeah.
A bit easier to see. And so I contacted the people from Foreign Meadows because they have these beautiful trail signs, and I asked them, hey, who did the nameplates on your signs? They're really nice. And so they were made at Northeast Blueprint, and so I contacted them and got an estimate for 16 custom trail name signs that will just have the name of the trails. And so there are 7 trails in total that Mayor Coons and I outlined to mark. And so they're the Center, Powerline, Westwoods, Interurban, Shade Dog, Wimbledon, and Daffodil Trail. Handy Rents down on East Washington has a power auger to dig holes that I got a quote from them on how much it would cost to rent for a few hours. And to complete the project, I'll be aided by fellow scouts in Troop 150 here in Twin Falls. We have a bit more than 15 scouts in our troop currently, and so that should be more than enough besides other parent volunteers. And besides that, I've got some great family members such as my mom and my dad and my little brother, and I'm sure our dog will be there, but he won't really help that much.
Make sure he's on a leash.
He's not trained that well, so. And then also some friends that I'm sure will be able to come whenever. So here's some visual aids. So that's an example of the power auger that they have at Handy Rents. So that's an example of the signs used at Florida Meadows. And now because the trails aren't that complex and to make it more simple for everyone, it will just be the top sign and then with just the name of the trail. And then that sort of shows what the post will look like. So it will be 3.5 feet out of the ground, 3 feet in the ground to have it be supported. And then using either a mix of sand or concrete or something to keep it insulated in the ground and keep it so it doesn't shake over or anything like that. And then just treated wood like that will be used. So assembling and placing the post will take place sometimes within the next few weeks, ideally before May 12th. And so the project should be completed earliest by late April and latest by early May. And so the installation will likely occur on a weekend, probably a Saturday morning / afternoon. So around April 22nd, April 29th, or May 6th. And that's all I have prepared to say about that. Does anybody have any questions?
I commend you for your decision to use a power auger by a manual post hole digger, because that would have been a time sunk that would have been incredible. But, well done on the power auger choice.
And then secondly, I would get a dad that has done a power auger previously, maybe get somebody that has done one. Dad, you'll be there.
Or a mother.
I'm not thinking mom.
Other questions?
I'm glad you used Muggleton in the name. That makes me happy.
That was his idea.
It goes back to our gentleman, our engineer over there. Basically, we're following everything of which Washington did in the master plan. So we'll swing from there to that gentleman over there. This is our street commissioner, Tim Alder. He's the guy that will be with you. He's going to tell you, you're going to put the sign here as to how we maintain it, exact location, mowing. There's also the park committee. A lot of them are watching right now. They take ownership in the park. So you'll get some input from them also. But basically, you're going to be, you're doing our master plan, as you said there. You're going to be supervised here. For Mom and Dad, we installed, Bluebird, not Bluebird houses, bat houses for one of our previous Eagle Scouts project was installed on a Sunday afternoon because that boy turned 18 on the next day. So we're used to this. We've done, we're going to be our 23rd Scout project. So we've had a lot of success with Boys and Girl Scouts. So without any further questions or comments?
See, I'm really excited for this, Nathan. I avidly use the Cleveland Metro Parks and the Geauga Metro Parks, and the signage like that is so wonderful, especially when you're jogging. Not to know how far you've gone, but how much closer you are to being done. So I really look forward to seeing your work. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Right.
Ruth, is Parks Committee on board with the project?
Yes, very much so.
I also include them in that he would be making a presentation tonight, so they may be out there in YouTube land.
If you want a guy who knows how to use a single auger, I'd suggest Ted Cruzy.
From Chagrin Chat.
I'll take that off your hands. I'll say thank you very much for being here. I know we'll be in touch. Mom and Dad, thank you again. It's a good time to say goodnight.
Great, thank you very much.
All All right, next, we're at the mayor's report. I gave you a lot of information for the March 27th meeting, and I got a lot more information for here. Is there any questions about what I put in except for the centennial celebration? Let's do all of those when we get to the property committee. But other questions, comments about the mayor's report? While you're thinking about it, for any project like that, state project, you have to have a sign put up afterward, kind of a bragging sign. IOEPA, there's one right outside here. I have it in here, I'll dig it out.
So it's a permanent sign.
It's a permanent sign, yes. We talked about locating it on the property.
It's part of the grant agreement.
A couple things coming around. Last Thursday's Chagrin Valley Times had a nice article about the Manor Brook. The couple other things that I didn't get into my mayor's report, met with the owner of the property just south of the central retention basin. Basically, he's not a happy camper. He would like to see us to put in a ditch that separates his backyard from his neighbors so that we could drain their water. I said, no. We did talk about saying you could put your water into our central retention basin. Also talked about his driveway, people coming up his driveway thinking it's a cut through to Kensington Green. My advice is put up a sign that says private driveway. And then anything as far as vegetation, trees, I said, let's wait until the middle of the summer and take a look at what the vegetation is and what we should do, or maybe there's nothing we really should do or could do. Also stressing that, if they want to do anything on their property, then put up all the trees and not. So I'm going to call him tomorrow with, and saying, basically this is what we're going to do. Okay, any other questions of the mayor? Moving along with the fiscal officer.
I distributed my report to mayor and council. I don't know if there are any questions. And finance committee will be doing the amendments to the appropriations and certificate of resources that we discussed last week or 2 weeks ago at the budget work session. Regarding the Geauga County Township Association, I sent that out. I have 3 council, Kavanaugh, Galicki, and Coons, who want to join the Township Association. Does anybody else want to join?
I'd like to do
And so we'll get you signed up for that. And I think that's all I have.
Danielle, I believe it's too late for Mark to go to dinner on Wednesday. There is a dinner on Wednesday.
probably too late.
Probably
It is too late.
I think it's too late to go.
I think you had to have your response in a couple of weeks ago.
Danielle, we've had this conversation many years, how we end up redoing the budget. I wish we could find a way to make life easier for you. And I think we made life worse this past year.
It was worse. I've been here almost 17 years. We've never done any kind of amendment like this, but I think we have it all caught up. These amendments are only what we discussed were the things that had to be done, that we either in a contract for or grants dependent on it. So there's still, it does not include the restroom. It does not include any of the other things that were on that list I gave you the last time. So the way it looks now, if we do everything we are committed to doing, we should end the year with probably a balance of 1.6 to 1.7 million. And that was with increasing the income tax revenue based on what we got last year and kind of where we sit this year, as well as the additional interest and income we'll get for the investments. So the other things will be things council will have to consider. I'm working on the 5-year plan that I'm hoping to go over with the finance committee on Friday. And then from there, I don't know if they'll want to have maybe another short budget work session to see what else, you guys want to put in this year.
Do you hear from your colleagues For the last 5 months, we set records for income tax. This can't continue, I don't think.
It depends, I mean, it depends what the state does. And, sometimes we do have 1 or 2 taxpayers that are big-time taxpayers. If you remember the one time, one person, we owed them a refund of $125,000. So if you have the one person move or pay in a different month than they usually pay, that can affect these. But we have been above last year, and so far this year.
Yeah, for the last 5, we set records with income.
I mean, we hope it stays that way,
Yeah.
but
Questions of our fiscal officer? Hearing none, we are at the finance committee.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, as Daniel alluded to, the next finance meeting is April 14th at 9 a.m. I think that's correct. We would like to acknowledge receipt and review of the credit card report dated 4/10/23. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, and then would you like to do the ordinance now?
the certificate of resources that I gave you is just the motion. That was the one I gave you, the list of all. In that little packet there, that right there, I'll keep it put together. There's a long list of.
We just need a motion. It's on the agenda.
Okay. Here we go. You want me to read the whole thing?
That's what I have to remember, so.
Okay. Sit back and relax. This could be a while. So I would like to make the motion to amend the certificate of estimated resources for the Village of South Russell as follows. Decrease the Headwater Fund, $115,411.31. Decrease the Nature Works Playground Fund, $4,031.10. Decrease the Lake Louise Fund, $2,591.62. Increase the Income Tax Fund, $122,034.03. Increase the Permissive Tax Fund, $121,000 even. Increase the State Highway Fund, $134,575. Increase the Culvert Fund, $96,700 even. Increase the income tax revenue, $450,000 even. Increase the general fund, this is interest, $33,500 even. Increase the safety fund interest, $13,500 even. Increase the operating fund interest, $3,700 even. And increase the road and bridge fund interest, $2,800 even. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
That concludes the report, subject to anything.
Nothing further.
We're good.
Questions of the finance committee?
Yeah, really fast. I'm far from an expert. Don't even have one letter in the word expert in this matter. With the recent news of regional banks, should we have any concerns with FDIC insurance and what we have with some regional banks?
Okay,
There was correspondence about that.
Was it?
To the finance committee.
Right.
I look forward to all council.
so that had been brought to my attention by a resident of the village.
Okay.
And a question as to what the risk was of having all of our funds, or having a significant portion of our funds associated with one bank. Danielle contacted Huntington, and we got a response, and because we are a public entity, we have a special insurance, if you will. We are protected above the normal limits for what an individual would be, which would be 250,000 K. So,
The first 250,000 is FDIC insured. Everything after that, every banks that want to do government banking in Ohio have to be collateralized. So every dollar we have invested, they have to have a dollar put aside for us if something were to happen.
so essentially, we're 100% back with Huntington. So, yeah, no, but that's excellent point, and we were very lucky we had an answer for you
Yeah, I was
today.
gonna say, very
And I'll
lucky.
forward it to you in all council.
Thank you.
Any other questions of the finance committee? Solicitor, the floor.
Yeah, I do, I'm sorry. So honestly, they have to have a dollar on hand for every dollar we,
And for our village, we're collateralized up to 3 million. And then, so the first 250,000 is FDIC insured, and then 3 million after that is dollar for dollar they have to put aside for us, which is why a lot of banks don't want to do government banking,
okay,
because it's expensive for them.
that's good. to
Like
know.
we used to be with Citizens. Citizens doesn't do government banking anymore.
Thanks.
Solicitor, the floor is yours.
So is it possible, I think I see it on the agenda, but I just want to make sure I'm seeking a motion to enter into executive session at the end of the meeting. And then, for the Parks Committee or the Properties Committee, I would recommend, a motion approving Nathan Hill's Eagle Scout, project proposal at some point. That's it.
Were you able to bail me out and get a copy of that ordinance?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The printer jammed.
thank you. And it's a nice sweater you have on. So, all right, we are now up to engineer.
Thank you, Mayor. At long last, I have finally received final closeout quantities from Specialized Construction for our 2022 road program. And as expected, we are $22,791.95 under the awarded contract amount, which just barely more than covers the purchase order that the village issued for the roadway treating that we did. So it's a net wash, just as we had planned, but just wanted to let you know that it did work out that way. They've got all of their final closeout documents in process now. Been called by their bonding company, their insurance company. They all have to submit forms, and this is a customary thing to close a project out per the contract that they signed. And every year it seems like no one remembers what to do. So I'm fielding questions from all the people that need to sign and issue those forms. Look forward to getting that closed out just in time for advertising the 2023 road program, which is scheduled to happen this week. The 2023 road program for council recommendation is a base bid of miscellaneous roadway repairs. We're planning on doing $50,000 worth of miscellaneous, larger scale roadway surface and base repairs as needed and as identified, dispersed throughout the village. Since council wanted to take out the base streets and just do the pavement repair program as the base bid, I also had to add in mobilization and insurance and bonds to that. So we're at a $58,000 base bid estimate. And our alternate one is Woodside at $225,000, and alternate two, Maple Springs at $305,000. That's the estimated numbers we're going out to bid for, a base with two alternates. So looking forward to getting that advertised this week and hopefully getting some low priced and successful bids. And unless there's questions, that's all I've got for the engineer's portion.
Questions of the engineer?
How's the intersection lights? Are we getting an extremis?
Materials have been ordered. The resident or the property owner, the dry insurance folks wanted to know exactly where we had to, if you recall, Councilman Galicki, there was a 5 foot by 5 foot easement that we needed to pursue, and they were gracious enough to grant to relocate the signal pole foundation to avoid a gas main. They were concerned about, well, is that going to impact our business sign? So Tim and I put stake with a ribbon, it's out there now, where the signal pole base is going to go, and it looks like it's not going to impact it.
Did we solicit the property owner's opinion?
We did not yet.
Okay.
The stake went out today, so I'm sure we'll get some feedback on that.
Because that was the big question of council was, in whose opinion is
Right.
it obstructing the sign?
There's a pole, there's a utility pole with a light on it that's there now, and the proposed location for our signal support pole is about 8 feet away from an existing pole that's there, so it's my opinion that it shouldn't obstruct or interfere with their sign.
But keep in mind, we did change the acknowledgement. If you recall, the acknowledgement originally said that if it was going to be, I forget the words.
Moving their sign.
We changed it to that, about physically moving, not actually impairing or impeding or obstructing or adversely impacting the sign. We changed the wording. And so, actually, Mayor, did that get signed and did that get sent to Mr. Yurt?
Now that the stake's in the ground, I'll take it to him tomorrow.
But the correct
Yes.
acknowledgement?
Yes, oh yeah, that's been signed and
Okay.
notarized. That's a couple weeks ago.
But the correct one, right?
The
Where it
correct one.
says physical, okay.
I
So
will
that means
check.
the easement for sure has been signed, notarized, and recorded. The acknowledgement is just a signature of you at a certain date. If you recall, again, council wanted it to be corrected, just to say if it necessitated physical moving the sign, not about obstruction.
Right.
Okay,
I will make sure it
Just
is
wanna make
before I
sure.
take it to him.
okay.
Eric, we're meeting this week with Culvert, is Culvert?
Oh, yeah. I reached out to Grade Line on Friday after our Streets Committee meeting, and I got a response from them that Tuesday was good, and that's not good for me. So I'm looking for a Thursday pre-construction meeting with Grade Line for the culvert replacement. I've yet to hear back a confirmation from them that Thursday is good, but that's the day we're shooting for,
This Thursday?
this Thursday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any other questions of our engineer? Street Commissioner, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor. The dock construction crack sealer company was out with the break in the weather, and the rain finally stopped and finished our crack sealing. And also, we completed our contract for 1,000 tons of salt from the state, and we used roughly 600 tons of salt. The bin is full. I look forward to the new one being built. And we're having some tree work done by Van Kuren, and along with that, they're gonna repair the flagpole. Hopefully, it's gonna be the next 2 weeks or so. That's all I have.
Questions of our Street Commissioner? Hearing none, we are at the Street Committee.
Street Committee met last Friday. Minutes are forthcoming. The chair was delinquent this weekend. We did receive communication that the mayor gave us at our meeting on Friday from NOACA, letting us know that we have been approved as part of their NOACA-funded portion of the state fiscal year 24 through 27 Transportation Improvement Program. Funding for the following projects: Bell Street, from Chillicothe Road to the South Russell East County line. That is for $1,019,769. And also the Bell Street Bicycle and Pedestrian Facilities for $800,000, also as part of Bell Road East. I don't believe we have to accept this evening, is that correct? Okay. So that's a little bit FYI,
Yes.
everybody.
Thank you.
About a little over 1.8 million.
So Chris, what is the bicycle and pedestrian facilities? What is that?
So my understanding is, in engineering, you can correct me, Mark, please correct me, is they're hoping we have a bike lane similar to Bell Road East, is that correct?
Oh, what?
Bell Road West, a bike lane similar to Bell Road West.
Okay, so,
Unofficial.
Unofficial bike lane.
Unofficial. That being said, it may not be physically possible to do it all the way to the Newberry border. Is that right, Aaron?
Correct.
Because of
Yeah,
topography.
it's challenging topography to deal with. If we widened out Bell Road East in a similar fashion that we did to Bell Road West, there's some very challenging topography on Bell Road East that may not make that A, possible at all without requiring easements, or B, really difficult to maintain a suitable grade. So we're gonna look into that. I was actually caught a little bit by surprise that they had slated us for, it's called the BPAC committee, through NWACA, the Bicycle and Pedestrian Action Committee, puts together these campaigns to improve, pedestrian bicycle accessibility along the routes that NWACA sees interest in, and we garnered some attention there. I don't know how much of that, Chris, was it $800,000?
Correct.
That they had kind of slotted for improvements for bicycle and pedestrian facilities on Bell Road East. Don't know how much of that we'd be able to capitalize on, but we're certainly looking at it.
Okay. What we do is really nice. It's very nice. I do want to honk at some bike riders though, because they don't seem to use it always.
We discussed maybe a portion of the road physically might be possible, up to maybe Bellwood, but further study is required.
Okay, I thought that's what it was, but thanks for the explanation.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, we'll be doing a resolution later, ordinance, I'm sorry, for next year's salt purchase. And other than that, Mark, do you have anything to add?
Just one thing, this notification from NOACA came out of the blue to us, as far as I know, so I give great credit to the mayor for attending their meetings and putting our case forward. We were looking at this as a village, as an enormous expense in '24 or '25. We spent $1.3 million total, I think, for Bell Road East, or Bell Road West, and it would have been about the same for Bell Road East. So this is an incredible savings to the village, which allows us to do other priorities where we would have dedicated so much money to one thing before. And as a benefit to the village, I think this is probably the biggest one we've ever had. I think it dwarfs Muggleton when the Watershed Partners gave us $400,000, or the Conservancy rather gave us $400,000. This is enormously important to the village. And we should take full advantage of it. One note, we don't have to do the bike path necessarily. It's not all or nothing. So like Chris said, the engineer noted, there will be discussion about how to do that, if to do it, and when to do it. But $800,000 certainly would help.
Sure.
So you're saying it could be some bike stuff and maybe other. Is that what I'm getting?
The $800,000 grant does not have to be accepted by us if we determine that the bike path is not something we can do.
Okay.
And we still can get $1 million plus for Bell Road East.
Okay.
But down the road, no pun intended, we're in good shape.
I don't know what other options there are for the pedestrian and bike for that $800,000. This is just a bike lane. I think we'd have to look deeper. Maybe it's crosswalks. I don't know.
It could be. We'll rely on the engineer to
Right,
come up with good
we have
things.
to flesh that out a little bit. Like
Sure.
I said, that came as a welcome surprise.
Absolutely. Not an April Fool's joke. Our next meeting will be Friday, May the 5th at 7:30 a.m. in the Street Commissioner's office. Anyone has any questions?
Hearing none, we'll go to the building committee. Before we start, Chris, you're still up. Probably, does he really need to just do a motion to give Anderson Windows the $1,000? This is the forfeiture.
Well, did you read the letters? Because the letters seem to suggest that they want to do the final inspection. So just like the other appeals, I think that you guys have been doing fairly recently, you sort of make it contingent upon that final inspection.
Okay. Chris, floor is yours.
Okay, the building committee met on Thursday, May the 4th. Minutes will be forthcoming. April 4th, sorry, I'm looking at May. Thank you for the next meeting. Appreciate that, Chris. One thing we continue to discuss, as was discussed in the last council meeting, is the potential for expanding alternates for the planning commission to up to 3 alternates, with only 2 serving in one meeting at one time. This week, the mayor will be discussing this matter with the current planning commission to get their thoughts on the matter, and then we'll move from there. And I guess our second order of business is the forfeiture for Anderson Windows. If if I see this right, Brady, did the contractor miss the deadline?
It looks like it,
And now they want to do the inspection for the chance to receive
I believe so.
the construction deposit back.
It looked like to me they missed the time for the appeal.
I'm not sure. I think that's right because I think the actual work was done in 2021. There's a mention of maternity leave, so I would assume that was actually more recent, and perhaps maybe they missed the 30-day deadline for it, but that's not actually clear. But I think again, it's the village's goal is to get these final inspections done, which I think is the goal, right? In addition to working through whatever deposits we have. I mean, it looks like the homeowner and the contractor both want an inspection,
I think
which
she
is
was
key.
maybe 11 days late after the end of the 30-day notice.
That's what it looks like.
She was on maternity leave. I remember recently given 30 days window.
I think so.
Is it property down on
30
Daisy
days.
Lane or Woodside?
Yeah,
We
you're
gave
getting 30 days,
Contingent upon 30 days?
Yeah. then they get their $1,000.
Okay.
So should we do a motion on that, Brady?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, I make a motion for renewal by Anderson to receive the construction deposit for, hold on, let me get the address here. 322 Whitetail Drive for the window installation, dependent upon the inspection being completed by May 1st, or is that not long enough?
How about May 10th?
May 10th, all right, we'll give them 30 days. May 10th, 2023,
So moved. We're done final inspection here?
final inspection.
Final inspection by May 10th. Moved by Canton, seconded by
Second by me.
Bell.
Second by me.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Depending on anything from Councilman Canton,
I yield that, Chair.
that concludes the report.
Okay. We're at the police chief. You're up.
Thank you, Mayor. The only thing I have, in addition to my month-end report, is that I made a modification to the month-end report to include vacation watch stats. If you notice, there was a 100% increase in vacation watches between February and March. March is our big month. We did 1,445 vacation watches, checks on everybody on spring break. Last year we did 1,581. So it's a busy time for us, but I thought that'd be an interesting stat to throw on the report, so you can see how many checks we do with residents. Also, we had a flock camera damaged over the weekend. A lady ran it over, and it's no longer in existence. On East Washington Street in front of our park, on the 7600 block of East Washington Street, she went out the side of the road and took the camera out. So it's in our garage right now. We are seeking reimbursement from the insurance company in the amount of $1,300. I've already pulled a purchase order from Danielle today to get that equipment replaced. So we have to pay up front. We'll hopefully get reimbursed by the insurance company.
You're talking about her insurance company?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, sir. In addition to that, I have one other thing here. Scams targeting seniors on April 17th. I have a typo in my report. It is 10 a.m. It's not 11 a.m. It's 10 a.m. here at Village Hall on April 17th. And lastly, after conducting an interview with a part-time candidate, I intend on asking Mayor, Safety, and HR to consider making an appointment at the April 24th meeting on the candidate we recently interviewed. That's all I've got.
Questions of our police chief? Just one comment. We had this discussion Friday. The Michael Harding got a phone call compliment because someplace in Manor in one of those little cul-de-sacs, geese are being born. Chris Berger did comment that since we put in the Manor project, geese are now residing in the neighborhood, so we may have created a little problem here, but anyhow, there was, someone called up and said how good Mike handled the situation.
Very good.
All right, we are now at the Safety Committee.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor. Safety Committee met on April 6th. The March report and the April agenda can be found packets. And our next meeting will be May the 4th at 9 a.m. at the police station.
Questions of the safety committee?
Mr. Galecki?
None.
We were at the HR committee.
HR, we met April 6th. You should have your, my minutes from it. We went over quite a bit of stuff. I hope everybody read it, and if there's any questions, fire away. One of the things we did discuss with Jim Budzik, who is Mansur Gavin, and we pay him to come to do research and then come give us advice, was if there is a question of an employee and if there's differences of opinion or any kind of unhappiness, to whom do they go? And the answer came back that Budzik actually said that you would first go to the mayor. You'd go to the mayor. So if you're having a problem with the supervisor or any other person that does work with the village, you go to the mayor. We will meet on May 4th at, I forget what time, at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Chris Berger, anything?
Nothing to add, thank you.
Questions of the HR committee? Ruth, before we go to the property committee, I meant to say the Chagrin Valley Dispatch does a yearly report. This is their report. I'll give it to safety, to the chief, and then back to you when you're done. It's a very nice report. Okay, Ruth, we're right back at you with the property committee.
So property, before I forget it, you said let's do a motion to approve Nathan Hill's Eagle Scout project that will make notice of the trails and name them for our residents. So I move that we approve Nathan Hill's Eagle Scout project.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
As far as property, let's see, we welcomed, I reached out to Greg Gam. He's going to be on the park committee. And we're still looking forward for the Browns to announce their schedule so we can get the fall festival underway. I spoke with Robin Schwend, who works at Chagrin Hardware. I spoke with him today, and he made a suggestion that instead of where it would be difficult for people to come up to Bell Road Cemetery, to the Rarick Cemetery, he has done this in Chagrin. They're fake gravestones, and he said they look good when you're done with them. So evidently you take pictures, transpose them on some kind of sturdy styrofoam, as I understand it. And you can do some of your reenacting there, and we could do it even in the pavilion if we wanted to. So rather than having difficulty of people like me climb those steps and be dropped off by some kind of small bus, I thought that was a great alternative, that we could do that. And he's more than willing to help. Tim is doing things at the cemetery because there are going to be people, again, like me, that want to actually see our beautiful 175-year-old cemetery. And I think it's probably better. Do you want to describe what you're doing with the gravestones, or just briefly?
We're building a form around the existing stones that are either broken in pieces, or because as they break, we just kind of lay them on top of the grave. Well, what we're doing is making a headstone out of cement in a form, and we're laying the stones into that cement and making it 4 inches thick instead of some of them are an inch thick, and they're just not holding up after 100 years. And so we have a trial one we just did today. After it hardens up, we'll stand it up. We put rebar reinforcing in it and try to see how that's going to work out to save some of this old stuff.
And I thank you for it. And is that it for properties? Do you need me to make a motion for the detailed costs of the 100th, Mayor, or?
Why don't we knock off this little stuff? We need to do a motion for the Chagrin Valley Chamber of Commerce concert.
Concert in the park.
They're going to have over 50 people.
Okay, I make a motion that we have the tentative or go ahead with the pavilion reservation of 6/20/23 for the Chagrin Valley Chamber of Commerce concert in the park.
So moved.
Discussion, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passed. Ruth, pardon me, yes, Ruth, we also have one for May the 7th. They are bringing in a gaming truck.
Jeez.
What
A
is it?
gaming truck?
It's not a food truck?
No, it's a gaming truck.
What is that?
We've had this once before, where you bring in a truck and they have games, computer games and terminals on this rather large truck, kind of like the size of a Winnebago, something like that. Have you
So
seen
it's like
it?
a rolling arcade?
Yes, you
Yes,
go into it, you
exactly
play
what
inside and.
Play games. That would be on May the 7th.
This is private people doing this?
Yes, yeah, somebody from
And that's May 7th.
May 7th.
May 7th, so I move that we approve the folks coming in for a private party on May 7th with their gaming truck. Did we get a number of people?
I don't think so.
Do you know about this, Danielle?
No, I just know it's a gaming truck.
I didn't see that one, I only saw the one that was here.
Okay.
Like 50 people?
You know, if they bring in a truck, we have to do it. I would imagine they won't get 50.
It's not gonna be like the folk concert.
No, this is just probably gonna be like 10 kids in a, like a Winnebago, bigger than a Winnebago, Chris, is that what you'd say?
It's pretty big.
About the size, yeah,
Okay, all
I'm
right.
just guessing. The only thing they put down is it's gonna be a truck.
Okay, motion made.
Motion and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, now you want to take on, George's got something before we do the centennial?
Are we ready to choose a date for the next park committee?
We aren't, well, we could, but don't we have to have the Brown schedule is the problem?
No, that's for in April.
I'm sorry, the next which meeting are you saying? Park?
For parks.
Oh, Parks is May 4th. May 4th, 10 a.m. Jerry's
Properties.
Properties. No, you want parks, nighttime parks?
Periodically, parks will meet.
Right.
And right about now, it's time to start thinking about the Fall Festival.
Okay, so, but I was hinging that on if you don't have the Brown schedule, how does Parks go forward with picking dates, et cetera?
Well, if you like, of course, we could wait until the last meeting.
And we could, or we can just pick like
You can
maybe,
just announce it, park committee meeting, whenever you want. We don't need to take a
Okay.
motion here.
All right.
No,
Okay.
no.
All right, whenever, yes.
okay.
You get the Brown schedule, then you can invite them. Okay, you want to do the resolution about the whole centennial, centennial celebration? Is that
Sure.
next on your list?
Sure.
Okay.
So if it's a resolution, do I move or I just introduce the resolution? Do you have to have the readings?
We should hold it to the ordinance as a resolution.
I do.
Yeah, if you're ready for that.
Where, you know what? I'm lost.
I got it. That's my fault. I left my copy at home,
Okay.
so everyone didn't have. We won't do that.
Resolution declaring the village of South Russell.
Ruth, not now. I'm sorry. I'm messing you all up. We're under ordinance and resolutions. We'll go through it. And here, I'll give you,
Thank you, my competitors.
it's probably there. I left my stuff at home, Ruth, and Friday had to
So you took one.
send it to Danielle, and Danielle had to print it, and the printer didn't want to print. All right, we're done with the property committee. We are now Public Utilities Committee.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Mark, I would ask that you take the Manor Brook project.
Oh, sure, okay. In the council packets, there was a change order with regards to the Manor Brook Headwater Stream Restoration Project, which is Manor Brook Phase 1. The net amount of the change is a negative $29,104, meaning that the project cost less than we thought it was going to earlier on. And this would be final payment for the Manor Brook Phase 1 project. Is that correct, engineer?
The change order is not instrument for payment. The change order just adjusts the contract price, either up or down. We are still waiting on getting a signed pay estimate, the final pay estimate back from the contractor, that's the instrument where we'd actually pay the bill. They're putting together their final project documents, their consent of surety for final payment, certificate of substantial completion, all of the documents that are required for contract. They said they'd submit the pay estimate to us when they had all of their paperwork in order. That's what.
Okay, so we're being asked to approve a change order that reduces the contract price by $29,104, and ultimately, presumably, when they have all their paperwork together and finalized each payment, then council would necessarily be asked to approve that payment. So this is the change, not the payment.
This is the change, not the payment.
Okay, so we need a motion for that, solicitor,
I thought,
or is that an ordinance?
I apologize, maybe I think it was an ordinance.
No, it's just the change order.
It's just a motion. So.
Yeah, okay, so I move that, the village accept change order number 1 final, that reduces the contract price by $29,104. So moved.
Second.
Okay, do we need a roll call on this one?
Yes.
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Kalicki,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Bell,
Aye.
Berger,
Abstain.
Canton.
Motion passed.
Thank you, Mark. In addition, in your packet, there is a draft for an easement with Fox Run. You also received pictures of where the retention basin is planned to be and its shape, and I'll defer any questions to the engineer for if council so has thoughts about that.
Can I add to that, Chris?
Sure, please.
The engineer provided the diagram that you now have before you, which looks a bit different than at least I had imagined. I thought a circular pond would be what was forthcoming, but it's more of a, I don't know, it's different. Anyway, the idea behind this is to present Fox Run HOA with a proposal, and then they're going to do what they do with it. And hopefully there will be an agreement that it's a worthy project and that they will want to move forward with it. But I appreciate the effort by the solicitor and the engineer to get this done. And if council is willing to authorize public utilities to make this proposal to Fox Run, we will go ahead and do that.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
It looks like maybe it's that shape to save some significant trees.
It is exactly that shape to work around the mature landscape that they've got. Along it's the northwestern boundary, it kind of arcs down in a kind of a strange shape. There's an existing sanitary sewer easement that runs along that boundary, so I was kind of hemmed in by the landscape, just hemmed in by that sanitary easement, and I kind of maximized the space available. If Fox Run says, oh, that's weird, we want it shaped a little differently or more uniformly, of course, that's something that's feedback that we would gladly accept. But this is a first pass at it, or at least something to get to them for their opinion.
I like that.
I thought it was a dinosaur too, Dennis.
We'll call it Dinosaur Pond.
The Brontosaurus pond, and there you go.
Barney, that looks like Barney.
Don't even go there, please.
So just a final question. It looks like the top part is the boundary, and maybe that's Gurney property behind there?
No, it's all on Fox Run property, and
North of there would be good.
yeah, it is all on Fox Run property. The Gurney property is, actually, the Gurney property is kind of far away from there.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're not bumping up against any Gurney school property there.
Okay, great.
Would this be a dry pond in the end?
Yeah, I'm looking at a give or take 5 foot deep dry pond that would be similar in character to our central retention basin.
And how far, estimate, as it's drawn right now, to Bell Road is that nearest edge? It's beyond the sidewalk.
Yeah, there's no sidewalk there. That's the
printer job.
That's how the printer rendered the right-of-way line for Bell. So it doesn't quite touch the Bell Road right-of-way line. It could. I mean, this is a real preliminary layout.
Sure.
The north end, where like the head of the Brontosaurus, the northeast end, I guess. I'm not envisioning that to be a part of the pond per se, but there's a pair of inlet basins on Fox Trail that are there, and I imagine that to kind of be intercepted and piped into the pond. So this is the shape of the easement, not necessarily the shape of a water surface or a pond surface, or in our case, a grassy retention surface. It's the easement that we're contemplating.
So what's the sequence of events? It has to go before Fox runs HOA and.
Yes. And Chris Smith is the HOA president. Last time he and I talked, this is what we talked about. And his association would like a proposal from the village, and this is the proposal. So I plan on, if council is willing, to forward this to him, and then their HOA will take action to accept, reject, or ignore the proposal.
Have we articulated the benefit to them if they approve this?
We have articulated that it will be of absolute no benefit to Fox Run. So it will be a benefit to other people, to the other people downstairs. Although from a aesthetic point of view, perhaps it would look nice or something, but I think they are far more interested in seeing Manor Brook Phase 2 go forward.
Manor Brook Phase 2 would help them.
Yes, and that part of the topic may come up. I would imagine it will.
And I made note of that in my minutes. We had that discussion at Public Utilities, and that may be part of the future conversation with Fox Run. So.
Because that's the only glitch. We're asking them to use their property with no benefit to them. So
Absolutely, but
hopefully they'll be good people.
I would note that when we did Manor Brook Phase 1, that was no benefit terribly to Manor Brook, but it certainly helped everybody east of Chillicothe.
Yeah, and south of the improvement.
Yep. And the floodplain there allows the upsized culverts that we're gonna do this summer, which helps the people on the east side, but nobody on the west side.
Right.
But if you do Phase 2 Manor Brook, it helps Fox Run. So, one step at a time. But eventually, by sometime in the perhaps far distant future, we will complete the 2004 stormwater study. Maybe.
Correct. That's our goal. When we put recommendations out there, it's our goal to slowly chip away until we've achieved.
And I would therefore make a motion that council authorize the Public Utilities Committee, chairman or his designee, to forward a proposal to Fox Run HOA President Chris Smith for the purposes of potentially making a detention pond on Fox Run property via an easement. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed.
Can I just ask
Chairman,
a
I'll
question?
take care of it.
I just have one question. Are we gonna call it a dry pond or
We'll
should I?
call it I would call it a stormwater retention area.
Okay.
I'm gonna call it Barney Pond.
Do you, Mark, because I drafted it and I have it in the Word document, I can then at least add the picture?
Yes.
We don't have a legal description clearly.
No,
We
no,
should
because
go into that now,
Right, we
right?
shouldn't, that would be, that's
Put in the
way,
paragraph.
Yes.
way too much detail at first. Let's.
But I can at least attach it, so
reference.
that now it's like
Yes.
they see it, right, plus with the actual easement.
I think it's very beneficial if they see Barney.
So I will revise it and send it to you.
Yes, please.
Okay.
and I'll forward it on to Chris Smith, Mayor, and I will await a response. Now, that doesn't take out, Eric, that doesn't take out Eric, that doesn't take out the gazebo, does it?
And no, the gazebo is.
Looks like it's forward there.
Yeah, it's on the southeast corner where the roadway turnout is. It's on the east side of the trees that I try to avoid.
So theoretically, residents of Fox Run could sit in the gazebo and look into the pond.
I don't want it to be I don't personally want it to be a wet pond.
Into our dry pond.
Our mowed grassy meadow.
The auxiliary deer storage area.
Correct.
Just as look back, at one point, they came to us about taking that corner of their property so they wouldn't have to landscape it anymore. So theoretically, there is a little bit of a financial gain for them. We in turn lose because now we have to mow and maintain that. But I think it would be a definite win-win situation. They have lost, basically, they had a covered, or a little pedestrian bridge that you could go from Fox Run to Gurney. And that's all been washed away over the years by that creek. So they're very interested in finding something that we could do with them.
It starts with the proposal, Mayor, and public utilities will keep Mayor and Council appraised as to what response we get, if any.
Any other questions for the public? Chris?
Okay, so Councilman Canton asked the question, if this is Fox Run's cost or if it's the village's cost for the retention basin, and it is clearly the village's cost to do this work, okay, and to maintain it going forward. That's the purpose of the easement, is to give us access to it.
And to draft the easement and the legal work necessary to record it and all that stuff would be on the village. Yes.
Okay, so, Public Utilities did meet April 7th. You got the minutes tonight I put on your table, so you have those minutes to review, and that concludes the report. Subject to questions.
Utilities. All right, we are now at ordinance resolutions. This is our third reading. This is dealing with the safety issue, but I don't know if we did this from finance. I can't remember back as to who started this out. But
It's usually a finance.
all right,
Finance,
so
so,
we'll do that.
yeah, so this is third reading, of a resolution declaring it necessary to levy a tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation. It's a third reading, so moved.
Move to
So you
adopt.
want to move to
Move to
adopt?
adopt, yeah, that's
Then move, do we have a second?
It's an emergency.
Second.
No, it's a third.
third reading.
But declaring an
It can be an
emergency.
emergency.
That way it takes effect immediately.
Oh, I apologize.
So it's
Okay,
been seconded.
Yes.
yes.
Okay, Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Now we have to move to.
No, you just did.
We've done that. Okay, so we're good. All right, thank you.
All right, and the pressure will be put on the police chief. We're shooting for May that more than 80% of our residents will support this renewal letter. It's been hot the past 2 years. All right, next we're at the street committee, we're dealing with salt.
Introduce and consider for adoption a resolution authorizing participation in the ODOT winter contract 018-24 for road salt and declaring an emergency.
I'm going to do a motion to those readings.
And to move, waiting further readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Then move to adopt.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
All right. Resolution passed. Back to the finance, Chris. This is the drug opioid settlement.
Yep, I got it. Okay. Introduce and consider for adoption a resolution approving the participation forms for new national opioid settlements reached with Teva, Allegron, CVS, Walmart, and Walgreens, and authorizing the mayor to execute each participation form on behalf of the village, declaring an emergency and waive further readings.
Second.
Moved in second, roll call.
Can I ask a question? Bridie, we did something like this in the fall. So is this part two?
Well, these are different, like companies, whatever you want to call it, so there are different participation forms with different companies. So yes, unfortunately, we actually had to do different participation forms for these different settlements.
Okay,
As I recall, some of the defendants that actually settled earlier
Yes,
and some later.
correct.
These are some of the later defendants.
okay, all right, I just wondered.
Okay, this is to waive Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Gallicki.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Gallicki.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Resolution passes. We are now, Chris, still you.
Okay, yep.
And
So, introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance amending the annual appropriations.
That was the yellow highlighted section.
That was the stuff that you threw in there, and I threw the pile up here, so give me a second, please. Find my pile of stuff.
Here, it's the yellow.
There it is, thank you. Okay, appropriations amendments as follows. Decrease street maintenance expense, $54,000 even. Increase state highway expense, $190,000 even. Increase permissive tax expense, $121,000 even. Decrease road and bridge fund expense, $28,291. Increase special land and building expense, $1,092,000 even. Increase Manor fund expense, $19,000. Increase culvert project expense, $126,054. Increase income tax transfer expense, $940,000 even.
So we
Yeah.
can't waive.
So, Dennis, would you make the motion as I read it, please?
I would like to make the motion as read by Councilman Berger.
Thanks.
So moved.
And we cannot waive readings because.
Say again?
We can't waive readings because we don't have 5.
So first reading.
First reading.
First reading.
All right, Chris, you're still up. Transferring funds.
Okay. Introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance authorizing, hold on, I can't read my writing. An ordinance transferring funds from the income tax fund, is that correct? Is that what I'm reading?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. This is it, okay, so, this is the sum of $940,000 to be transferred from the income tax fund to the following funds. Culvert fund, $28,000 even. Special land and building, $1,087,000 even. Safety fund, decreasing $100,000 even, and the operating fund decreasing $75,000 even. Declaring an emergency, waive further readings.
Second.
Moved and seconded, roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Gallicki.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Gallicki.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Ordinance passed. All right, next,
This is me.
yep, Ruth, you got it.
Introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the Village of South Russell with Chagrin River Watershed Partners Incorporated for assistance in developing a grant application to ODNR to the Village of South Russell for the restrooms at the Village Park and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
You want to move, waive reading?
And move to waive readings, declaring an emergency, sorry.
It's been moved and seconded, roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Gallicki.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Move to adopt.
Move to adopt. Wake up.
Second.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Stuckey.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Now, this agreement with Dream River Watershed Partners, there's no guarantee that we will get it. It's just an attempt to get 16,000. As I said earlier, Jogga Parks and Chardon are not applying, and those are usually they get the lion's share of the money, but we'll try to get 16,000 to help cover the cost of the rest of them.
Okay, wait a minute. Can we redo the appropriation amendments, just don't do Manor Brook, because I need everything else done. So if you read, it's everything but the Manor Brook.
You need everything else done.
Yes.
Okay.
We have to amend the prior
Or do
one?
we have to pull it?
Or if they just
Well, it was on
don't,
first reading, right?
First reading.
First reading.
it could just never go any further.
Yeah, you could just then,
It would just die
Withdraw.
if no one takes action on it.
or you could move to withdraw whatever you feel more comfortable with, really. Then we'll do Manor Brook separately another time.
Okay, so make a motion to withdraw the ordinance presented for transferring funds,
No, the appropriation.
I'm sorry, from the annual appropriations. So moved.
Second.
Is there an ordinance number for that, Daniel?
It didn't have a number, because
That
you
was
just
on
read
first
it.
Yeah,
reading, that's
okay.
what we did.
So be it.
Okay.
Okay, do we need
So,
emergency and everything here?
well, that's just to withdraw, so.
Withdraw that.
Withdraw, all right.
So it's been moved and
Need a roll
seconded.
call.
Moved and
Moved and
seconded, just
seconded.
motion, right?
Yep.
Just all in favor of removing that?
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Well, are we gonna have any abstentions?
No, not, oh, yeah, because we abstained from it to begin with, so.
Okay, Kavanaugh. Aye. Stuckey.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Abstain.
Canton.
Motion passed.
Okay, introduce and consider an ordinance amending the annual appropriations as follows. Decrease street maintenance expense $54,000 even, increase state highway expense $190,000 even, increase permissive tax expense $121,000 even, decrease road and bridge fund expenses $28,291, increase special land and building expense $1,092,000, increase culvert project expenses $126,054, increase income tax transfer expense $940,000 even, declare an emergency, move to waive further readings.
It's been moved and
Do we have a motion?
second, roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Stuckey.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Stuckey.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton. Now, Dennis, can you?
Ordinance
You
passed.
introduced an appropriation amendment for Manor Brook, increasing Manor Brook fund expenses $19,000. And that'll be first reading.
Okay. So I'd like to introduce an ordinance in the blind here with no information. Where can I refer to it?
It's amending the annual appropriations for Manor Brook, $19,000.
So that's back under,
This one,
bear with me.
Just send it down. It's the one asterisk item on the list. Yeah, it's
Okay.
Just the one.
Like to make a motion to increase the Manor Brook fund expenses $19,000.
and that's it. You guys do three readings.
First reading.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else on finance? All right, Ruth, we are with you. This is the centennial celebration. This will be its first reading,
Thank you.
or we can do it all.
I'd like to get it off.
Okay?
So is that a motion or resolution?
This is
with
a resolution,
emergency?
start at the top, a resolution.
Resolution declaring the Village of South Russell support for the activities commemorating and celebrating the centennial of the Village of South Russell and declaring an emergency.
And you want to move to waive readings?
And move to waive readings.
Okay, it's moved. Seconded, roll call.
Discussion.
Discussion.
Well, it's just,
First, you would vote on the move to waive.
we gotta waive readings, then we discuss.
Okay.
Sure. Move to waive readings, that's where we are. Roll call for that.
Wait, who moved to waive? Ruth, and then who?
I second.
Canton.
Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Leaky,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger,
Aye.
Canton.
Okay, Ruth, now you do move to adopt,
Move to adopt.
and we need a second.
I second.
Okay, discussion.
You want to go first, Chris?
Go ahead.
I just, I noticed that, on the mayor's report, there were updated estimates of activities, and they amounted to about $9,000. Have we got any written estimates, or are all these word of mouth again? Because initially, we talked at the last couple of council meetings about having some hard and fast figures about what these activities would cost. And I believe it was the consensus of the finance committee to say, let's have those hard costs. I think the mayor agreed to say at the next council meeting, I will have those. And right now, I'm just wondering, has the fiscal officer or anybody seen anything in writing as to these are the costs?
The estimated cost to be in the parade is going to be about $1,000. That'd be for signs. And possibly having to pay fees for some people to bring special cars.
Well, those fees, as I understand it, are $750 a piece per vehicle, as well as, any vehicle that the grand marshals or whatever operating. But again, if we want to push this through, I don't want to put council or the village in the position of approving activities which will then exceed the budgeted amount that we have allocated for the centennial event. Given that, I just would feel more comfortable if we had some kind of estimates. I know certain things, bands will say, well, for 2 hours, it'll cost this much. For 4 hours, it'll cost this much. Right now, we don't have much except a different number figure as an estimate, nothing backing it up. And, if you really insist on pushing this through, then I would recommend that we add language to it to say these activities not to exceed $10,000 that are budgeted for the centennial celebration. Then if we find out when it comes time to pay the bills, oh, it's a heck of a lot more expensive, then the committee is going to have to say, what are we going to cut out? So that's my discussion point. Chris, over to you.
Okay, no, I echo the concern and say, I think we just put a top dollar amount on it. We say not to exceed. So tell us what the not to exceed number is, and if we all agree it's $9,000, then it is what it is. But let's not. At least let's have a target number so that when we start to add this thing up and we go, oh boy, now we're way over the top, we need to come back and have another discussion.
We budgeted $10,000.
Okay, well, then not to exceed.
I'm perfectly fine with not to
Okay,
exceed
Okay,
$10,000.
good. And
Then if that's part of the amended ordinance, then I'm good.
Allow me to offer some amendment language.
Please.
Section 2, at the end, I point out that council has to approve the expenses. And we're not approving anything that we don't see in writing. That's our habit, and I don't see us deviating from that. So if we add a comma after activities and add such costs not to exceed $10,000.
In aggregate.
And up above, is this what you're talking
In
about?
aggregate.
So,
Total.
Total, right, no, that's fine.
Mark,
Okay, so section 2, after expenses for such activities, comma, where such costs will not exceed $10,000.
Okay?
I'm not sure where to.
Activities, not to exceed $10,000. Is that it?
is that the amendment?
Yeah.
And we're going second.
Yeah, as amended. So, well,
Yeah, we've already moved and seconded. We're having discussion now. I forgot in this list of things, I guess, Ruth, we're calling this a pamphlet, but it's basically a book
Well,
on the history, 100 years of South.
yeah, the two ladies working here have helped me actually quite a bit with that. And I'm a dinosaur and I read paper copies. And what eventually will happen, I'm gonna put on the website the finished product and maybe print, and pamphlet won't do it. At Leslie's really good suggestion, it's gonna be that front page and very few copies made. But I do want something paper that we can save. So I think it's more for the website, and there's not a lot of cost in that except for their work. So I'm real good with that.
We're talking about a booklet?
A booklet, and we're going to incorporate, also at their suggestion, which I didn't think of, we did the questionnaires at the 75th, all of whom, I believe, have gone to their reward. And they didn't seem as valuable. They seemed valuable, but not as valuable, since I can't ask these questions anymore, of the grandsons of the pioneers. We found some real nuggets in there, and we're going to excerpt those. We can't possibly put everything in there. So that's a change with pamphlet.
So also another bullet point?
Yeah, I was gonna say, so can we offer another amendment to section 1, to add the following bullet points, and I would just say booklet
Okay?
and questionnaires as a second bullet point. And does that cover then the list?
You say booklet?
Booklet
How about it?
booklet is of the questionnaire.
And then a second bullet point is questionnaires. If there's a cost to it, I don't know what there is.
Is it just on the copier here? Is that what we're talking?
You probably don't have to print it.
Haven't got, I would like something a little more professional, but I don't want a lot. I just want us to have a permanent record that stays downstairs in the minutes area.
Mayor, did you have that thing, an earlier notice you gave out was the appreciation luncheon thing for the park? Is that part of the 100th or no?
No, I guess let's keep it separate since it's not in there
Because
now.
that one would need special permission because of food, so that,
Chris, how about if we just say a booklet on the 100 years of history of 100 years?
I have no objection to that.
Okay, there'll be a booklet on the first 100 years of South Russell.
Sure.
Just, when Pepper Pike did it, theirs is about 20 pages of a booklet folded like this. Just paper copy. It was no big deal.
Question, if I may. At one time, there were some concerns about businesses having signage on village vehicles. How have we moved past that? It seems that we have.
I went to my mayor's and I asked them, what do you guys do? And what they do is they say this is economic development. That was how they went by it. I think, did you put that in your solicitor?
No, it was at the top, it was just beneficial to the village
Yeah,
residents.
supports the activities.
But I don't think that I apologize, Mayor, I didn't think that's what you were talking about. I thought what the point was is that we have, village businesses that are donating, I thought, like their cars, and they're gonna drive it, and
Yes,
they're going to allow people to place advertising on those cars, which are not village cars.
correct.
Okay,
and are we paying those fees? Or are they
I
paying
don't
those
know.
fees?
I don't
For
think so.
those trucks, are they paying their own fees or are we
No, you
paying?
don't have to pay. Because we're Grand Marshal, we don't have to pay. We have to pay for our our special signs and our candy.
No,
And
I,
any other fees that we have, like to bring in a 1920s car, probably gonna get charged $50 to $100 to bring this, guy's got to trailer it in.
So that one has to be paid for,
Yeah.
right? But the trucks with the signs on it don't have to be paid for?
Got it?
Give you an example.
Is the J.C.'s brought up on that? Because,
Yes.
I've emailed them
That one's
multiple
Grand
times, they're not.
well, it doesn't matter if other companies are bringing their vehicles in, you're the Grand Marshal or we're the Grand Marshal, but I understand the Grand Marshal would have one vehicle. If we're opening this to 5, 10 vehicles that we're plastering with signs, it would seem very wonderful if the J.C. just said, yeah, we're waiving all those fees.
Yep.
But again, do we have that in writing?
We are.
No, we don't have to pay anything. He said, you guys are in, I gave him a diagram, of this is what we're gonna do, at 8 different spots, fine. He said, you're going right after the police and fire, chief will be leading us. He's the leader.
How many trucks do you have from businesses donating?
2
Or just
so
the 2?
far. If we need to, or we find that we get a ton of things like this. This is one example.
Okay.
24 by 24, double-sided tape. So,
Can they update the vote?
Update the body.
See the villages, it says.
It says it's in.
it's typical.
Take over Bainbridge, too.
We'll get some paint.
No, I met face to face with the Jasons, said this is what we're going to do. They were fine with it. And if you've been involved with JCs, you know how they wing it anyway.
Well, Clark would be, what's the big on
Yeah, that's great. Okay.
All right, anything else here? It's been moved and seconded, discussion.
Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Kalicky,
Aye.
Porter, Bell,
Aye.
Berger,
Aye.
Hanson.
Okay, any more ordinances or resolutions? Back to you, Chris, Bill's list.
I need Dennis to do the bills list.
Okay.
All right. Both of them, Chris?
Both of them.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to ratify the bills list of March 15th, 2023 in the amount of $95,533.21, and the bills list of March 30th, 2023 in the amount of $178,390.18. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Kalicky,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Bell,
Aye.
Berger,
Abstain.
Hanson.
Motion passed. We are at new other.
Kavanaugh,
I did have new other, but let's see. I guess probably just to thank you ladies for your suggestions and all of this work that's gone into it. So thank you very much. And I can't emphasize enough how important those questionnaires are. Nancy Gallagher saved them. And I called and thanked her for that. I hope she got the message. I'm looking forward to a lot of this. Thank you.
Kalicky,
None.
Porter,
None.
Bell,
Really quickly, I should have brought this up during properties, we had a lot going on, and I just forgot about it. I was contacted by a resident with a wonderful story about, he took his grandchild down to the park to go to the playground. In between the parking lot and the playground, there's an extraordinarily a large amount of dog feces. So I went down to check it out myself, and it's pretty nasty. I don't know if there's anything the park committee can suggest or think about to help encourage people to clean up their dog waste. We have the bag down there, but it was pretty gross.
Okay,
What is the back container for?
that's disappointing.
I don't know. I didn't check the container. That's a great question, though. There was a lot of.
It's empty 3 days a week. It's never full.
No, I meant, there are bags there for.
Bags are always there.
Bags are always there.
3 days a week.
Very-
is that all you have?
That's all I have.
Berger,
Yes, I would, at this time, I would like to make a motion to council to approve a donation of $100 to Women's Safe of Geauga County in honor of Robert and Mary Claire Porter.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill, stay.
Sorry.
That's all I have.
On behalf of my parents, thank you.
Canton,
Nothing.
that's everybody.
All right, Jerry, yours.
Okay, Solicitor, shall I invite the chief? Okay. I would like to make a motion to enter into executive session for the purposes of discussing the possible purchase of property and conferring with the solicitor regarding pending and imminent litigation pursuant to section 121.22G 2 and 3 of the Ohio Revised Code, and to invite the mayor, fiscal officer, solicitor, counsel, and our police chief.
It's been
Second.
moved and seconded.
Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Ricky,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Bo, Berger,
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
We're into executive session. We'll start at 8:36, gives us all 5